got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems, I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back, tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression, it's all that I wanted. The phone and affection, I summon and dub it. Cause I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems, I solve them. I run through the...
Welcome back to another episode of the Problems on Problems podcast. I am your host, Mike Santee. I have no idea what number episode this is because we've been filming a lot, and already 10 seconds into the episode I've already said but we keep moving on, and we get to the part where maybe it's the RNC being in town, and with that coming the protests, which I'm about. Maybe it's the being on vacation and having too much time to think. Gosh, who knows? But sometimes it feels like life makes you kind of restart, and man, does this restart suck. I didn't really want to film this one. I kept procrastinating it, but it's kind of one of those things that until I do, I probably won't be able to take my own advice. So, letting go. Oh, and I will say this. You know what? Let's do this. For anybody that didn't want to listen to, however much time, I'm going to put the timestamp of when the funny stories start down somewhere around here in this area. We're going to put the timestamp. I'm going to put the timestamp down for the funny stories and the rest of the episode stuff that you guys like to watch, and that you usually come here for, like the Friday follows, the food debates, all that good stuff. Something embarrassing happening to me over the weekend. You know the deal. I'll put in the timestamp right now, and you can go skip to that. Everybody else, if you're trying to, it is going to be a real one. It's about to be a tangent kind of thing. But without further ado, here we go. So, letting go. It is, I don't know about you guys. I know for me, it's easier to let go if I'm angry. Whatever that may be. Like, this is just blanket statement. Like, whether that's people, things, opportunities, whatever. I usually do better when I'm angry, and that's just because it's easier to like forget about it kind of thing. But I know like, lately I've been weighing like the idea of letting things go in life that just don't, now they don't serve me anymore, but they just like, they serve no purpose in my life. Stuff like that. Call it a decluttering of sorts as Mike enters his last year of his 20s and yada yada yada, blah blah blah, you know the deal. So yeah, it's just been one of those things where I've been going through a lot of like mental exercises to kind of, go through the deal, like learn when to let go and stuff like that, because I do think it's a big part of life and a big part of moving on, that sometimes you just gotta kiss it goodbye. That actually worked. Look at that. Here you go. Lessons on lessons on lessons for your problems on problems on problems. I already don't like myself. It's fine. We're good. But yeah, it is just one of those things where like as much, I mean, I personally have probably the toughest time letting go of things. And I think it's one of those things, honestly, is that your brain will sometimes just remind you of solely the good or the pros of whatever you're trying to let go. Whether that be an opportunity, whether that be a person from your life, a friend, not that friends aren't people. You know what I mean here. We're getting through it. But yeah, it is. And there are so many ways to do it. I say that as a like, do as I say, not as I do, because I will be transparent and say that like I've been struggling letting something go for the last like 9 to 10 months, and it's just one of those things where I'm like, I know on paper what I have to do, As I immediately think of that Star Wars meme where he's like, I know what I have to do, but I don't think I have the strength to do it, or something like that. But yeah, play that clip if we can legally do it. If not, don't worry about it. But it's just one of those things where like I've struggled with it, and I know that like I definitely, I don't have all the answers. I might not have any of the answers, but it is one of those things that I do know that as long as I stay true to myself, and keep choosing to like love myself, or invest in myself really, as long as I keep picking me, we'll be okay. I know it's horrible foreshadowing. There's a lot of nuances in there too. I don't just mean that, but it's the easiest way to say it right now, where if I just keep picking me, then I'll be okay. And that's honestly, sometimes that's what you guys have to do. You have to just pick yourself. Like there might be a lot riding on whatever those situations may be, whether it be an opportunity, whether it be like starting new chapters in your life. But it's just one of those things where like sometimes you just gotta pick you. Gotta do what's best for you, and you'll be able to look back on it. Hopefully you'll be able to look back on it, be like, yeah, man, I did that thing. And honestly, sometimes it's just removing yourself from the situation, whether that be physically, if you can, or even like mentally. I know nowadays it is we're not deep enough into the episode to start cursing. But nowadays it's a son of a gun, to like be able to ignore something, because there's nothing but content in your face all the time. So basically it is just truly getting yourself to be out of sight, out of mind, or whatever that thing is, to make it out of sight, out of mind. And sometimes that's blocking yourself from that being an option. Like I said before, whether it's like physically removing yourself, or it's like blocking people and stuff like that. But it is a tough one, especially when I think of that it's a tough one when it comes to people, especially when you've invested time and stuff like that. Not saying, let's take a break here. I'm fine. Not just like the Ross from Friends fine. I'm okay. All right. So this is not the part where you guys need to like worry or anything like that. I'm just speaking from experience, where I'm like, hey, I've had trouble letting stuff go. I think other people have trouble letting things go. You know the deal, and here we are. But yeah, I think it reminds me of that. I don't even know if it's a poem or something like that, but it's one of those things where there's some this is what happens when you don't do research, but also this is how it happens when you procrastinate. But there's some poem that more or less talks about how it's more sometimes moving on can seem painful, but it's only because you haven't accepted your fate as strangers. And I think that's the hardest part about moving on from people, whether that be like leaving a relationship, losing someone, death or otherwise. But yeah, I think it's been one of those things where, as great, and trust me, this weekend was great, as great as it was for me, it opened up my eyes to the overwhelming conclusion that there are things that Mike has to do in order to move on. And I think once we are able to give up that mental real estate, to something that's not paying rent, and giving up that like space in your heart for them. That doesn't sound right. You know what I mean. Giving up that space that they take up, and just being able to accept your fate as strangers. I think that might be worst advice that I could ever give, but it's some kind of advice, but who knows? One of these days I'll be able to, one of these days I'll be over everything, and then I'll be like, hey man, here's another story. But while it's fresh, it is one of the things that I remember, like, hey, fresh, I make it fresh. Like a Subway, it's cool. I don't know why I do this, but yeah. I say all that in my normal morning ramble to really just say, hey, like, we're all going through it. Everyone's got stuff that they got to let go of, and I am no different, but I'm here for y'all, thinking about y'all, doing my thing, doing bits. But yeah, so with that being said, I'll at least tell you can I do this now? Yeah, I'll at least tell you a super dope, not super dope. It's just a funnier story about letting go. If you're just joining me from the other piece of the video, you know what I mean. If you're just joining me from there, yeah, we're gonna talk about how this past weekend I had to learn to let go of a couple things. And really, there's nothing. How do I phrase this? There is nothing clingier than a drunk person. Let's start off there. You want to talk about people that have a problem letting go. Wait until someone goes full koala on you, just because. You know what? I don't actually know if I could interview the people that go full koala on others. And we might as well roll into the fact that, yes, I was a victim of a human koala. It was one of those things. I don't really know what it was now that I think about it either. Basically, what happened is that in a very responsible, very socially distanced night, I met up with some friends that were also carefully socially distancing. And then we all carefully socially distance in a common area that allowed us to do so. And there was a lot of drinks involved. And as the more drinks there were, the less socially distanced people became. Like, we had cornhole, we had lawn chairs. That's really about it. A lot of drinking. But yeah, what ended up happening, don't worry about it. Everything was responsible. But what ended up happening is that some people got too drunk, as people normally do. Not normally, as some people do when they have too much to drink. Okay. Shout out to Vin Diesel. You're doing work, bro. You're staying employed. But yeah, to get through the story again, people were getting hella drunk. They were doing their thing, yada yada. And then, if you don't know this about Mike, ooh, do I want to wrap myself out? Yeah, if you don't know this about Mike, there's this thing that I talk about. It's called the pool boy effect. Sure. That's. Oh, okay. Maybe I should pause. At this point, who knows? I think I'm good. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap myself out. I have this thing that I call the pool boy effect. If you haven't noticed about Mike, I've got some. I've been gifted with melanin. All right, and it's a light mixture, so that year-round tan sometimes applies. Sometimes that year-round tan sometimes piques the interest of a certain population of people, women. I call it the pool boy effect because this smile, this tan skin, and then jokes on jokes on jokes. So pool boy effect was, I guess, in full effect. This past weekend, I feel awful for telling this already, but we must go on. Pool boy, full effect. Not full effect. I had normal clothes on, not pool boy clothes on. But as I stumble through this and awkwardly try and get to the end of the story so I could somehow have some type of self-preservation, the pool boy effect makes me seem friendlier. Yeah, the pool boy effect makes me seem friendlier, maybe. My jokes make me seem, maybe I'm friendlier. Listen, I don't really know why, but all I know is that at 2 different points of the night, there were 2 different people that literally were like, clung on to me. Like, you know that machine? That's not a good thing because that barely touches. Like those magnetic animals, magnets. We're ruining the story. Listen, all you need to know is that they were hooked on me like a freaking Velcro beanie baby or something like that. And short of prying myself off of these people, it just kept happening. And sometimes those people need to know when to let go. So I tell you all this. Oh gosh. I tell you all this to, number one, just expose myself for having a pool boy effect. I'm not going to edit this out, Mike. You need to suffer. The pool boy effect and the fact that, hey, maybe some of y'all should just, let some things go. But yeah, that's what I got right now. So with that, we get to what part of the show? Friday food debates. Hey, it's Friday, guys. Happy Friday. I forgot that again. I was super depressed in like the earlier skit, #sadboy. Is there a sad thick boy meme? That's too depressing. But yeah, so happy Friday, everybody. You know the deal. Everyone that's going to work this weekend, my bad. Everyone that doesn't have to work this weekend, cool. But yeah, it's Friday. It's happy Friday. And what we do on Fridays is we debate food. So this Friday's food debate. Why? I don't know why it sounded like that. Last week we did mac and cheese versus that's not true. We did how did you eat your mac and cheese, spoon or fork, and I don't know how this happens, but anyways, and fork won with 60% of votes. So everybody that eats it with a spoon. Per usual, I am very open to discussing these if you want to talk your points and things like that. I'm just saying you could also be an adult and just eat your macaroni and cheese with a fork. Why are you eating macaroni and cheese? You know what? If it's that good mac and cheese, if it's boxed mac and cheese, we'll get to that in a little bit. No, we won't. We'll never get to it. Boxed mac and cheese should only be for convenience, okay? I'm saying that again as a fruit fly. We still haven't killed the fruit flies, all of them yet. I'm dying at this point. But yeah, so Friday food debate last week, forks won over spoons. This week, listen, if you haven't learned that Mike's Hispanic, I don't know what else I could tell. Do you want me to sit here with plátanos in my hand? And I don't even know where that was going. Listen, all I'm saying is that if you haven't learned by now that I'm Hispanic and that I love Hispanic food, I don't know what more to tell you because it runs my life. Hence thick boy status. But also for anybody else that loves Hispanic food, especially tacos. I always come in between, or I come in between these two topics. That's not true. With tacos, we're really going to go 2 ways this week. Do you prefer corn or flour tortillas? Leave it in the comments. Answer the polls on Instagram. You know the deal. All right. So with that, we are moving to whatever's happening with my shoulders, we're going to be okay with. But we're moving right along to our Friday follows. So last week we did, who'd we shout out last week? Oh, last week we shouted out Tacos de Regio. We shouted out Queen City Food Queen. keep showing them love, keep going to their pages, all that good stuff. This week, the business that we're going to shout out, and mainly because I went full. Am I going to expose myself again? It's problems on problems on problems. Half of them are self-inflicted, if you couldn't understand that by now, if you couldn't gather that by now. So this first one, business-wise, I fangirled over this when they followed me on Twitter, because, listen, I have a very strong attachment to the city of Charlotte. I feel as though it has been my home. It is where, like, my newly single life and all that stuff, which we'll talk about that later, all that has happened in Charlotte. And so, although Charlotte is... We'll also talk about that later. Do you know Charlotte is like one of the top or one of the worst cities for dating currently? Not like you should be dating. It's a pandemic, but also love is love. I don't know what's happening anymore on the show. But yeah, so Charlotte being my home, Charlotte being, if you couldn't tell by like, you can't tell because you can't. There's a hat on my head that says Charlotte. Cool. Duh. Mike, you're getting there, but it's getting a little so we need to pick this up. So, Charlotte being my home and all that stuff, I love it. I love doing highlights on the artists around here, the restaurants around here, but also a big attractor to the city, or a big attractor for me of the city, was that they have professional sports teams. And I know we have the Carolina Panthers. We've got the Charlotte Hornets. We've got the Charlotte Checkers, the Charlotte Knights. Shout out to all of y'all. But Mike loves soccer. And a couple years ago, I was heartbroken when Charlotte did not get the bid for an MLS team. But this past year, pandemic and all, Charlotte got an MLS team, which it makes me so happy. Shout out to David Tepper. Shout out to the city of Charlotte. Y'all got it done. Shout out to all the partners and everything like that. But shout out to everyone. Now Charlotte has a soccer team, a professional soccer team, none other than Charlotte FC, which, side note, as a Chelsea fan, the whole CFC thing, it just matches up very naturally for me. But yeah, Charlotte FC, and no other account but the verified Charlotte FC account started following me back on Twitter, which, just because of that, y'all get the shout out. Not like it takes like a follow for follow kind of thing, but like the fact that this professional soccer team in its inception in my home city followed me back. That's great. But yeah, so at Charlotte FC, love everything about it so far. Keeping my fingers crossed that the uniforms that they end up picking, color wise, since we've got the black, we've got the blue, and we got the white. Hopefully there's an all black kit that comes out, an all white kit, even an all blue kit, and then we could mix and match, do things like that. Blue shirt with black shirt with the blue bottoms. Yee! All right. Anyways, I don't know why I got excited about that, but yeah, business wise, Charlotte FC, you guys are getting the Friday follow this week in episode 5. It's awkward. That took 5 episodes, but we're still doing bits. The person that we're giving the shout out to this week is, no, it's not. It's a good thing. This person has played a very important role in my life. They actually co-host and co-founded Questionable Content, the project, the soon-to-be empire that got me into doing all this stuff, got me into filming, got me into producing and all that. But yeah, so none other than my co-host, co-founder, partner in video crime. Yeah, that one's not going to work. But yeah, none other than Jam Sesh, 4H's, Jam, my co-host. Go follow her. She's great. Amazing behind the camera. Even better in front of the camera. She's doing bits. But yeah, man, Go give her a follow. Go do all that stuff. I cannot say enough good things about her. So hit her up on all your videography needs. She's busy. Listen, just go give her a follow. Go appreciate the work and all that stuff. Love shouting out the crew and everything like that. If you got anybody that you want to see on the Friday follows, anyone to shout out or anything like that, leave it down in the comments, DM me. You know the deal. We'll get them on here kind of thing. But yeah, those are definitely two big accounts that if you're not following yet, you need to get on that thing. But yeah, with that, we're going to wrap this bad boy up. We're going to do some announcements. I'm going to kill these flies. So I've got this episode. I'm on vacation this week, which won't mean anything to you because by the time you guys see this, I won't be on vacation anymore. But we're just going to do episodes on episodes eventually. And I'll put this over now. So maybe it'll be episode 7 or 8 or something like that. Maybe we'll leave it for the 10th episode. I'm going to do a Q&A, divorce part 2, or a divorce story part 2 kind of Q&A style. We'll talk about everything that happened after I basically said, hey, like, serve me the divorce paper kind of thing. And then that's it. Like, we're not working on this kind of deal. We'll talk about everything that happened post that. The one relationship that I was in. Ooh, if we get enough followers, you might interview her. Not holding you to it. So we'll see how the subs go. But yeah, the one relationship I had post divorce, single life, work life, all that jazz. We'll give you guys a part 2 kind of analysis in some coming episodes. But yeah, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Problems on Problems podcast on Instagram at MikeSanty18 on Instagram and Twitter, and at problems_pod on Twitter. But with that, guys, listen, life is tough. We all got this. Keep doing your thing. Keep doing bits. Keep doing better. And I will see you guys next week.
Got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems. I solve them. I run through the money. The pressure be calling. Left on my blessings. I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something. That's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression. It's all that I wanted. A phone and affection. I summon and dub it.